think Jeremiah Coger is primed to have an even better season now that he's in the SEC.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate Auburn message board legend, the Charlie 5, also known as Kyle Rush over at the barn, auburn.com. He hosts the Top Button podcast. I want to talk about different transfers coming in on top of Jeremiah Coger that, will they have a more productive season or less productive season now that they're in the SEC. Then obviously Auburn basketball returns to action tomorrow with certainly their tournament hopes on the line. But Kyle, I think Jeremiah Coger, one of the many transfer portal wide receivers coming over from South Florida, I think he's primed to have an even better season this year than he did in his previous season at South Florida. He was the number 2 guy in their offense. Of course, KeShaun Singleton led the way in receptions and yards last season. But I do think Coger and his body type and how massive he is and how well he moves, and you typically see that biggest jump from your freshman year to your sophomore year, I think Coger could end up being the guy who does lead Auburn in multiple receiving categories this season.
Yeah, I mean, easily could be the number 1 guy. I mean, he may have more ceiling than Singleton right now. And like you mentioned, we're only going into his sophomore year.
Right.
like he's already 6'4", 210 or whatever it is. And he's only a sophomore. And he, kind of exploded onto the scene last year, scored 8 touchdowns. There's no reason why not just the jump from G5 to SEC, he could make that transition, but then you have the aspect of you're getting one more year older and competing against a lot of these in this SEC strength program and, all that stuff with all the different resources. So, I could easily see it, man. He looks good in those workout videos. He's always front and center. He's a big kid. He's so big. And
he's fast.
Yeah. Yeah. He can move.
Yeah.
He could be a really, really good one.
Yeah. So last season, Coger had 38 catches for 597 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. I'm predicting he has more catches, more yards, and I won't say that he has more than 8 touchdowns. That's a pretty good number, but I will say that he has more yards this season than he did last year at South Florida.
It's interesting. He did not play against Florida or Miami last year. I don't really know the reason behind that.
Yeah,
but we can look into that. I mean, but he had 9 catches for 112 yards in a loss against Navy. I mean, that's a big game. 4 catches for 90 yards, 4 catches for 94, 2 touchdowns against North Texas where they scored like 1 billion points.
Right.
He can play, man. He can play. There's no reason why he couldn't end up being your number 1 guy like we've been saying.
So with that, KeShaun Singleton led the way in several statistical categories for them last year. 50 catches, 877 yards with KeShaun Singleton. Of course, he's now an Auburn Tiger as well. So the assumption is he is the number 1 guy. And I think going into spring, he is the number 1 guy. Do you think those numbers go up or go down? Because I think they both may dip a little bit. I don't think that's anything against KeShaun Singleton, but if I had to guess right now, does KeShaun Singleton have more than 50 catches or less than 50 catches? I would say that he has less.
I could see Coger's numbers going up and his numbers either staying the same or dipping slightly.
Yes.
I think that's fair. Don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to be very similar to like a 1A, 1B type situation. I don't think you're going to see one guy totally just jump way ahead of the other. I just think that's kind of what this offense is.
And a healthy Chas is a good Chas. And he's going to factor into this thing. He's going to eat some receptions, but I could see Coger going up and Singleton coming down and it being more level, like somewhere around that 65 to 75 catches, maybe.
Yeah. Chas Nimrod 23 catches at South Florida last year, 466 yards, averaged 20.3 yards per catch, which is insane. But like you said,
he only had 50 catches last year.
Who?
I'm sorry.
Singleton?
I'm Singleton only had 50 catches.
Right.
So so maybe from a reception standpoint, both of them be somewhere in the 45 to maybe 50 range. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, how all three of them fit is going to be interesting because of the, hopefully Nimrod's healthy, right? And all these guys are healthy and available. What does that rotation look like? Because they don't sub a ton. So you got to think like, okay, on this drive, these are the guys that are out there.
Their passing game too is very wide receiver heavy. It's not a lot of spreading it to tight ends, getting it to the backside of the backfield. It's very, very wide receiver reception heavy. And he's generated a ton of receiving yards over the last 6 seasons. I mean, it's like 21,000 or something crazy like that. So roughly 3,500 yards a year is what he typically that offense typically generates. So there's yards to go around.
Mm-hmm. There is. Yeah, because I'm glad that you said that, because there's a lot of folks that think, I've seen people say, Jeremiah Cobb can be a receiving threat out of the backfield. You're correct.
He
could be. But if Golesh does the same thing that his offenses have done at South Florida, and when he was the OC at Tennessee, they don't throw to the running back.
No.
A lot of those guys got I think there were 2 running backs for South Florida that got 4 catches. Davenport had 5, and
somebody had like 12, I think.
And then Cartevius Norton, another running back, had 2. And then Eccles, the 2 tight ends, Wyatt Sullivan had 18 and Eccles had 9. But as far as throwing to the back, they just don't do it.
They just don't do it, yeah. It's very wide. They feed those wide receivers. They get the ball out quickly. They get the ball out vertically. And it's a very, very wide receiver driven offense, which is why also I think going back to Jeremiah Coger in year 2, they feed their wide receivers. He's taking that freshman to sophomore jump. It could just be he could be ripe, to explode.
And another thing that's so exciting about these guys, and we've talked about this with Byrum and talked about it yesterday with Cole Best. They know the system. They know it. They don't have to relearn anything.
They don't.
Golesh hinted there's going to be some slight adjustments as far as, you can't do the exact same stuff. Like in the SEC, you're going to have to translate some stuff. But as far as how things are communicated and timing with Byrum, these guys are stepping in ready to play.
Terminology is so big. Terminology takes the vast majority of the time to remember and learn. And when you're thinking also, that you have to think about, it's not so much, okay, this play is what we ran last year, but we're just going to run this route this way or break it off here. That's a whole lot easier when you hear the play called and you know what the alignment is, you know where to go line up. All you got to do, remember now, is I run this route 4 yards instead of, 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of throwing out a scenario there. But, yeah, terminology takes the most time to learn. Chemistry is another aspect, but terminology is a big one, and they're going to already have all that down. You just kind of step in and go.
Yeah, and, the receivers that are, meticulous about the routes that they run and, where they want the football. Byrum knows all of that. They don't have to, spend time in practice. What do you want me to do on there? I'm sure those conversations will still happen, but they've already had them before, which is great.
Spring also becomes kind of a mini fall camp, if you think about it, because of so many guys. You're you're not starting over. You know what I mean? You're just taking the next step. So it's almost like an extension of your fall camp, but that you have late in summer before a kickoff, which is kind of cool.
You just got these player leaders at every position group. I know Eccles is an underclassman in the tight end room, and Davenport's a younger guy in the running back room. But for the most part, in O-line, you've got 2 guys that when they're talking about, plays, or if it's a situation over the summer where coaches are limited, but the players are still working out, you've got these guys that have been in the system for so long that has to count for something. Or these receivers, if Cody Burns is coaching somebody else and they see something with one of these younger guys, KeShaun Singleton's able to go to Duke Smith and say, hey, we typically look at this. Like, there's going to be so much of that already sprinkled in. And I don't think we can really quantify that.
Right. I agree.
All right. Byrum Brown's numbers. They're going up. They're going down from South Florida to Auburn. That's next. Right here. Unlocked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment, that's not the most convenient. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app right on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. Head to TurboTax.com, TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. When you look at Byrum Brown's numbers, I think they're going to hold serve. And if they do that, watch out. Want to make sure that you guys know about the Everydayer Club. If you've been thinking about joining the Everydayer Club, now's the time. Again, you get ad-free shows and access to our group chat on Discord. And if you're signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can get into our Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch. Should be a lot of fun. Right now, you can use code MARCH, and you get your first month free. Use code MARCH at lockedonauburn.supercast.com. Looking at Byrum's numbers last year, Kyle, I mean, well documented, 3,158 yards passing, and of course, rushing was 1,008 yards. If he gets anywhere close to that in either category, you got to feel like Auburn won some games. A lot of people predicted them not to.
Oh, of course, man. And 42 touchdowns. I think that's what it is. 28 passing, 14 rushing. I agree. If he gets close to that, particularly on that rushing side, Auburn's going to be a problem, I think, for a lot of people. I see the rushing total going down and maybe the passing total at worst hovering around that 31, 32 number, or maybe even go up a little bit. I think that's probably something.
Kyle, if he throws for 3,100 yards, I think we win 9 games.
But see, we talk about that so often. We've talked about that every year. That's really not that much in the grand scheme of things.
Our bar is so low.
Our bar is so low on passing. That's like 250 yards a game, you know? And now I agree with you. If he can complete somewhere around 65+% of his passes and throw for over 3,000 yards, like Auburn's probably going to look pretty good on offense. That's not a super high bar. I just see, man, they brought in all these backs. They brought in these extra tight ends. I think they're going to want to run the ball. And Golesh has done it, man. When he has 2 good backs, it's crazy how 50-50 he almost gets it as far as carries go.
Right.
Take a little bit of pressure off of Byrum Brown's leg, keep him healthy, let him throw the ball, feed those backs. I see the running totals maybe going down a little bit, which is not a bad thing. Maybe
I agree.
If he can be 400 to 500 rushing yards, I think we're fantastic, and somewhere around 3,100 to 3,200 passing yards.
Yeah, I would take that in a heartbeat. If let's say he rushes for 600 yards, passes for 3,100, is he the leading rusher, or do you think
That's a good question.
Because I'm with you. I think Cobb and whoever RB2 is, I think it'll be Washington. If I had to guess right now, I think it'll be Washington. Like, I think they're going to be within 200 yards of each other.
I do too. I think they're going to be close.
So it's like 600, 400. I don't think they'll both do like 800, 600. That seems a little high. 700, 500. I'm kind of thinking we're in
2022 Tennessee. Now, they had like no rushing yards out of Hendon Hooker, but you had Jalen Wright and Jabari Small, and they were within 120 yards of each other. 875, 734.
That offense is crazy.
So I think that's probably pretty close. Maybe I think that would be ideal.
If Byrum had 500, Jeremiah had 700 something, and Washington had 500 something, and Byrum threw for 3,200 yards. That would be unbelievable.
I was wrong. Hendon Hooker. Listen to this. I was wrong. I guess I just don't remember Hendon Hooker being much of a threat with his legs. You had Jalen Wright 875, Jabari Small 734, and Hendon Hooker 430. So 875, 734, 430. If you get that out of that backfield, Auburn's backfield, they're going to be nasty because you also had 28 touchdowns, 28 rushing touchdowns between those three. And you got to feel like Byrum Brown's a better runner than Hendon Hooker. But if I'll take that production right there out of that trio, and I'm ready to rock and roll. We're beating
100%, especially if the passing, like if we think that can hold serve coming from USF to Auburn, which, man, that Tennessee tenure for Golesh is really the difference. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million times again. Like, to me, that's the difference of, the folks that didn't like the hire, or, they're concerned about the transition from, G6 to P4. I mean, he's done this at a ridiculously productive level in this conference as an offensive coordinator. To me, it's those years at Tennessee that I think legitimizes a lot of this.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago versus 10 years ago. The way we would try to sell ourselves a little bit with Freeze at times. I mean, it was just a couple of years ago where he was doing this in the SEC when he had the number one offense in the whole country in the SEC, beating, scoring 50 or 40 to 50 points on Alabama, doing on anybody they played. So, that makes it feel more translatable. Like, it's not a huge learning curve to jump right back into it in the SEC.
So we're saying less rushing yards for Byrum and maybe hold and serve, maybe a tad more in passing.
I think that's fair. I don't think he's going to go 3,200 and 1,000, in the SEC. That, I mean, if he did, you're talking Heisman. Those are Heisman Trophy numbers in the SEC. I mean, that'd be higher than what Cam's output in the SEC if you do that.
Yeah, I mean, that would look like, did Lamar? Lamar threw for 3,000. I think he's the only person to do it twice, right?
Yeah.
Throw for 3,000, rush for 1,000. So, I mean, that'd be Lamar Jackson numbers, but in the SEC, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Man, Auburn basketball needs to get it done tomorrow. Point blank. That's next, right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, and they have a profit boost on college basketball parlays, so you can get in on the action and really maximize all of your wagers over on the FanDuel app or at FanDuel.com. Auburn, a 7.5-point favorite against Mississippi State to open SEC play. And you also can bet on Auburn to win the SEC tournament at plus 15,000 odds if that is your thing. So head over to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Welcome to the 5-hour energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready, and I've got my #1 pick. I'm actually going to call my guy Kyle in here. First pick is who? Grape.
Grape, always.
It's the grape flavor. High floor, high ceiling. No reason not to go with grape first overall. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Final few minutes here on today's edition of Locked on Auburn. Kyle, Auburn has no reason losing to Mississippi State again, but we could have said several things over the last few weeks. So they had no business losing in some of the games that they did, and they've just
they
continue to find ways to do it. So I think
they actually had business losing.
It's been a brutal stretch, and everybody wants to point at certain guys and it's a lot of things wrong.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nuanced situation, but man, like it does, like you fix a lot of things. I think if you beat Mississippi State, and then if you can find a way to beat Tennessee in your second game of the tournament, I think doing those two things would fix a lot of things, because I think that is enough to get you in the big dance. As weird and as crazy as that
sounds, yeah,
that seems to be kind of what the assumption is right now. So goodness gracious, if you could find a way to pull that off, it would really, really fix a lot of things.
And I know people are probably rolling their eyes, and I get it because of how bad it's been, but Auburn's still inside the top 40 in net, still inside the top 40 in KenPom. If you could beat Mississippi State and Tennessee, you really might have a shot to still be in this thing. You still got a lot to play for. And it's like, do they care enough? Can you get them to care enough to want to go in? Hasn't happened yet.
Man, it doesn't seem like they care. It really doesn't.
It seems like they're ready for this season to be over. And it's so funny because it's almost like Dickie V put out a tweet, and it's almost like he is really cheering hard to not get Auburn in, because he says there could be teams with 16 losses that get into the tournament. Well, the only team that could have 16 losses and get in the tournament is Auburn, because they're sitting on 15 right now. So it feels like it's still there for the taking, and you don't necessarily have to win the tournament because of all the bubble teams that just got dominated last weekend, and your schedule's been good. It still feels like there's a chance. I don't understand. This team has kept given opportunities over and over and over to still stay in it, and they haven't grabbed it yet. Could they do it this week? There's nothing to prove that shows they will, but at least it's still out there in front of them.
I want to see Steven do some drastic stuff with the lineup, just to say, like, if you don't care, we're not going to play you.
Yeah.
I would love to see him just say, Keyshawn Hall, thank you for scoring a bunch of points. I don't think you give us a better chance to win, because you can't stop anyone on the defensive side. I would really respect Steven a lot if he made that decision.
Yeah, and I would too, but the problem is now you're playing with 6 instead of 7. So, like, he's going to have to play some just out of because you're so thin. Or you know what?
You can give more minutes to than you currently are. Yeah. You can give more minutes to Jovic. I think he's certainly capable of more minutes there. Do you move guys around and you give Simon Walker a chance? Like, give him a few minutes? Like, I wouldn't hate that, just because it's something different, and just because you're sending a message of like, look, we need you to finish the season, but you're not going to run this program. This is my program. I'm the head coach. And what you've done and how you've conducted yourself isn't what we want here. And so we're going to use you as little as possible.
Yeah. And it's sad that it's gotten to that point, but it's not only gotten to that point, it's well beyond that point. It's beyond the point to where, like, when he was benched against, who was it? Arkansas.
Yes.
The whole season went downhill after that. It affected everything. And you can see it on the court. You can see it on his face. You can see it on either side of the ball. It's just completely unengaged, I guess is the best word.
Yeah. Not predicting that to happen, but I don't know. I don't think it would be a bad move for sure. As we were on here, Keyshawn Hall just got named 3rd team SEC. So for the coaches.
It's wild. That feels like a troll. No, I mean, he can score. I mean, he scored a lot of
Yeah,
points.
they're just looking at like scoring average on that.
I guess so. I don't know anything about like defensive efficiency ratings and all those things. I'm sure Ferg would be better.
I'm sure he's written about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. 7.5 point favorites. That seems like a lot.
We are? Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Against Mississippi State.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I don't know. I would definitely take the plus 7.5 there for sure.
Oh, totally. You kidding me?
I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this team. Impossible to predict. Would love for them to win it.
No
Don't
doubt.
want these guys
It'd be
to finish.
fantastic. We're gonna be there covering it.
That's right. How can people check out everything you've got going on?
Absolutely. Go to the barnauburn.com, sign up for the message board today, our YouTube page, the Barn Auburn, or anywhere you get a podcast, the Barn Podcast Network.
Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.